Is the divorce rate truly going down right now? And if so, why do you believe that is happening?
I don't know why it's happening, but I know that it's happening. It could stand to reason that the reason we're seeing divorce declining is because the people who do marry get married later and do so after more years of dating. Again, both of which are associated with positive outcomes.
Yeah.
Another possibility is that we see the marriage rate is also declining concomitantly. And it's plausible that many of the people who would have gotten married and divorced back in the day now just don't get married at all.
Yeah.
And so that is part of what's lowering the divorce trends as well. It's one of the more surprising things. I think everyone has this loose impression that divorce is on the rise and divorce is, crazy common, but divorce has been consistently dropping. I believe we are the least divorced generation since the 1970s.
There you go. Okay, awesome, guys. Divorce rates going down. What do you think?
People they're not getting married in the first place.
Okay, that was one of the things. Anybody else have any ideas on this? No?
You can absolutely base a marriage on sex. Let me tell you, I can
Go ahead.
firsthand.
Go ahead. Amani?
No, I agree with what you said. Yeah, a lot of people aren't getting married, but I feel like some people fear marriage. They have this concept of it that it's just supposed to be sunshine and rainbows. Not all people, but everyone I've talked to, or majority of people I've talked to, they're like, oh, I want to marry my soulmate or the perfect person for me. And people don't really compromise with other individuals and try to open their mind a little more to get to know other people's personalities and maybe, expand themselves in a way. So I feel like not a lot of people are getting married because they don't want to and because they're not open-minded enough to find the person they actually want to be with.
Can I piggyback a little bit on her? What made me kind of just really ill and irritated me about this video is when they brought up, people looking into, their political views and, how their views on this, that, and the other. And not one thing was just about anything with depth, anything with just value, how you view the world, anything spiritual, anything that's worth something that when you're growing and when you're old, that you have in common. Who gives a fuck who the president is at the end of the day? Who gives a fuck what religion is fucking growing and thrive? Is your world at the end of the day. The outside world should not depict who it is that you end up with. And I just feel like that, our marriage is ending, this, that, and the other, but no one is trying to go for depth these days. I feel like a lot of things are very superficial these days. And that's my personal experience, and that's the experience that I've seen with others. And no one's willing to go into the darks and the depths with other people and see other people's darkness and accept and grow with one another. Mm-hmm. We're so quick to cut off.
And deeper than politics and religion.
Then that is where your depth, and that's where yours is. And then when you find someone, then that's where you guys will meet.
What's darker and deeper than marriage?
Well, yeah. So I have a very different answer for that. So that's why to each their own, and to each companionship is very different. So you have that, and I have my view, right? And so therefore, why are we not even, so even that view alone, they didn't even say do you find that very deep and true to you as those kind of topics? It's nothing that's deep to, you know what I'm saying? It's just focus on the deepness. If that's your deep, if your deep is, whatever, X, Y, and Z. It's hard for me to say the things without.
Can I run the numbers first?
Go ahead.
I gotta run the numbers. I gotta run the numbers.
Let's fact check that.
All right, so let me explain to you why Mackin's got it all ass backwards. First off, we are now at 6.1 marriages per 1,000, which is the lowest marriage rate in recorded history in the United States of America. That's number one. Number two is the divorce rate spiked when? 1965, right after hormonal birth control was introduced to the United States and popularized, which, by the way, you can trace back every social ill in the 21st century back to right around anywhere between 1965 and 1971. That's number two. So you have this rise in divorces, you have this drop in marriage, and then so what happens right after that is you got this complete falling off a cliff of marriage rates. Well, guess what's dependent on the marriage rates? The divorce rates. So what happens then is you've got this divorce rate that follows the marriage rate. And right now, I think what they're trying to do, and I keep hearing this from traditional conservatives like Matt Walsh, especially from Matt Walsh, they just don't understand mean averages, okay? So we also have to look at the divorce rate as it stands right now, the general divorce rate in the United States, according to James Sexton, his stats, 56%, okay? Why is that? Because they take all of the first marriages, second marriages, third marriages, and combine all of them into one aggregate one aggregate result. If you take first marriages, you can see that it's probably around between 45 and 50%. Second marriages, somewhere in the neighborhood of 65%.
It's 52, 63, and 71 or 72.
Okay, so we have to take those numbers into account as well. So who's getting remarried, who's not getting remarried, and are those ending up in divorce as well? So there's also the raw divorce rate, and then there's the refined divorce rate. So to go and throw this out as some sort of hopeful, everything's going to be better because the people who are getting married are not getting divorced as much as they used to be. But the thing is marriage sells, but nobody's fucking buying now.
Agree. But that was his point in the originally as well.
I want to know who still has faith after trying number 2.
Yeah.
Number 3 or number 4.
You know, it's funny. So I talked to
men primarily.
I talked to James Sexton about this, and he was talking about this. When people get divorced, they would come to him. He's a divorce attorney. They'd be like, "I'm never doing this again. I'm never getting married." And he's like, "Oh, it's so sad." He goes, "Because 86% of the time you go back and get married again."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very, very common. People will go back.
Yeah.
But your third marriage, it's like high 70s or mid 70s, the probability of you getting a divorce.
Yeah. So raw numbers aside, like why I love how there's this sort of like hopefulness about it, but the thing is it's not even so much focusing on the divorce rate. It's like if marriage was such a great deal right now, we wouldn't be at 6.1 per 1,000 right now. That's the figure you need to focus on, and that's the discussion that needs to be had. Yeah, I think what's happened is we've sort of we've completely destroyed or we've rewritten the social contract that marriage, like 20th century marriage, used to be based on. So in a pre-sexual revolution society, when we didn't have hormonal birth control, and women were, the thing is hormonal birth control was a landslide, a nuclear bomb to Western society, well, actually, global society right now, because what did it do? It changed the nature of the relationship between men and women. So now you have a pill that will prevent pregnancy that only one sex is in charge of. So you've got, and prior to that, if men and women wanted to come together, the social contract meant that I'm going to take care of you, I'm going to provide, protect, and provision for you, and you are only going to have sex with me. We're going to have babies together in that way.
60 damn years ago, you guys f***ed it up, and this is why it is where it is. So
I'm explaining to you.
Damn it, you're literally reiterating shit that we fucking did 20, 30, 57 years
I'm
ago.
I'm explaining to you why.
You f***ed it up. So why don't you explain why you f***ed it up and figure it out before I fucking flip the script?
He did not.
Damn.
I'm explaining.
He did not create hormonal. He did not create hormonal birth control.
I did not create hormonal birth control.
Neither did you. Were in a room with females. We are sensitive.
Well, let me explain something to you. Why is it that we can put like landers on the fucking surface of Mars, but we still haven't figured out how to make a pill for men?
I don't know. Like preach.
You know why? You know why? You know why? Because the
Damn.
incentives and the money is not there. That's why. Yes. So the entire point I'm making here is that the hormonal birth control is what has set that everything you just talked about, everything in motion as a result of the fact that we can now have sex without the worry of pregnancy.
Let's talk about consent with that too, because I mean, in my experience as a teenager, we turn 15 and they're just like, here's some orthotricycline, try it out. And just throw it on young women.
Yeah.
I stopped taking birth control when I was 20 because of the effects that it was having on me.
Terrible effects, by the way.
I mean, as far as the chemical effects aside, you have to look at the social effects.
Pushing it on young women
Yes,
too,
they were.
because
Always
being
don't
afraid
get
of them
pregnant.
getting pregnant.
Yeah.
We used to have back in the 90s. We had this crazy thing called teenage pregnancy. It was a big problem.
Yeah, it's
we don't have that problem anymore because no one has sex anymore. That problem is gone. There's no more TJ. And by the way, drunk drivers, like 16-year-old teenage drunk drivers, not a problem anymore because no one has a car. Everyone drives.
Everyone's
Uber.
Insurance too high.
We got rid of all those things.
So what's the
We can't afford eggs anymore, guys.
birth control then?
There is no
There is no
solution.
the mediator.
We're not talking about a solution.
We're here for solutions.
We are here to describe the problem. The solution here. Ready? When you're dating a guy, ready? Here's the solution. When you guys are dating a guy, pay attention to what he does and not how you feel about it, and you'll win. None of you will listen to anything I'm saying.
God, I hate when you say truth shit that
That's-
goes against
that's
everything
true.
I do.
Yes. Yeah. One more
Men,
time.
men are a lot more
If
logical.
if you want all your relationships with men to go well, here, right? Here, pay attention to what he does and not how you feel about it.
But you got to think, women
Done.
are emotional creatures.
I agree, but
naturally.
you're just making an excuse for why your relationship is going to tank. And I'm telling you, if you just pay attention to
Don't
what he
manifest that
does
on me.
and not how you feel about it, you will find you got the right guy or you don't have the right guy.
You're right.
That's it.
You do have to be more logical when going into relationships, especially if you're younger, because men are actually not that complicated. They're going to tell you how they feel about you by their actions.
Have a guy friend who's like very experienced and ask him about the guy that you're dating, and he will tell you with 100% accuracy exactly what is going on in the relationship.
Oh my God.
And it's going to hurt your feelings.
You want to know when a man wants to marry you? You know how he knows? He'll ask you to marry him.
Yes.
He's just kind of going through some shit right now. I'm not really sure. But guys, you're just making this shit up. Pay attention to don't take all the words, consider all the conversations and activities you've done with this man, remove all the words, just pay attention to what he's done and stop worrying about how you feel about it, and you will ultimately know the result of all of your relationships if you do this. That's it. And for men, it's the same problem. It's a little different because men give their intent and love to women simply because of sex and their physical attraction to them. And those women did nothing to deserve it. And so because of that, men get themselves in trouble because they get, whipped, and then women get digmatized, and that's what happens.
How do we know you give us attention past the whipping moment?
Again, pay attention to what he does. So like if I'm introducing you to my parents, and then I'm introducing you to my clients, and then I'm introducing you to like my closest friends, then you should pay attention to what I do, not how you feel about it.
You're
if
right.
You feel
men can still do that and still cheat on you, though.
Again, but you're asking for some solution to like being able to tell. I can't tell you how to read someone's mind. I can tell you a high correlation to someone's mind is their actions. And if like I introduce you to my clients, whatever, we spend all this time together, the other problem is you feel insecure because I give other women attention, but I don't cheat on you. Pay attention to what I do, not how you feel about it, and then you'll be happy with the relationship.
Okay. What about what you do versus what you say?
I would absolutely not concern myself with what a guy says. It's only what he does.
Men, they lie.
There's a little bit of truth in that.
There's very little truth in what people say. Guys, if you actually like looked at the amount that people exaggerate, or they have these. People will say what they want to believe is true about themselves, and inherently, if you put you had a polygrapher there, what is it? Polygraph. You'd find out that the person isn't lying. He truly believes the thing that he's saying, even though the thing is not true. Same thing with women. It's like, I don't sleep with guys on the first date, and then you put a polygraph on them. They're telling the truth. Then you go look at their last 5 relationships, and they slept with the guy on the first date. It's like in their mind, they need to say what they want to believe is the truth. And so because of that, I just don't listen. Rule number 1 in Men of Action: we don't listen to the words. We only pay attention to people's actions. We don't. That's it. And so when I've done that, again, don't trust people you've known for a long time. Trust trustworthy people. And if you just pay attention to what the dudes do and stop worrying about how you feel about it, you will get the right answer all of the time.
Yeah, because you can't worry if it makes you feel sad, makes you feel indifferent, or any kind of way that you don't like.
I've just seen too many times where like that moron Chris GQ Perry is like, oh my God, I had a dream. This girl had a dream that her man was cheating, and so he left. I was like, no. Did he cheat on you? No. But how do you feel about it? Well, I feel like he cheated on me. If you could just get rid of the I feel like he cheated on me, you'd have a happy relationship.
It's so hard.
It's so hard.
I agree with you.
Women, some people do have intuition, and so we should
Yeah.
totally ignore
Yes.
that. But I mean, it's not like
You ready to go with this one again? No. Okay.
No, but it's not logical.
No,
Yeah.
because it's right. Like,
You know,
80% of the time.
I mean, women, I think we could take some feelings like, oh, whatever, like
exaggerate,
I could slow down a little
overreacting.
bit sometimes, but it's like
They just slap an air tag on his car and
They're ready to go on this.
investigate your intuition.
Yeah, there you go.
If I can't trust you, I don't want to be with you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Because coming from an overthinker, I'm already overthinking so much. So you're right. Pay attention to the actions. Whatever you're showing me, that's what I'm going to believe.
The problem is like when you want to be analytical about things, like women want to play the game. They don't want to be told that they're playing a game. They want to enjoy themselves in that moment, and that's the emotional rush that you get from that. So the questions where you're asking yourself, does he like me? Does he not like me? Does he really want to get married? Does he not want to get married? Like that uncertainty right there. That is very, very emotionally satisfying. That is like trying to use your intuition and your your feminine mystique or whatever the fuck you think it is, right? That because it's very satisfying because you want to know that that's reliable. And it's really not all that reliable, but it does feel good when you're trying to like figure it out using that. But you're in your feminine, right?
And then once you get
your
that
feminine is your
reassurance,
emotional
you're like,
is your emotional
I love
state.
you.
Now, what you really need to ask yourself is, do I really want this answer? or do I would not want this answer? And so, because sometimes you might not want to hear the answer.
Yeah,
The
some
answer,
guys
the
tell the
answer
truth,
might be
and it's
he's
like-
just waiting it out until somebody else comes along.
Or my own answer. Sometimes like they fall in for me. I'm like, do I really like you?
You know, here's another one. Here's another hard truth. Sometimes you're with a woman who like is so emotional that when you tell her the truth all the time, she can't handle it.
Yeah.
And so now I'm being put in a situation where I either break up with you or I have to lie to you.
So then
Yeah.
what? So what do you do? Do you give it more more?
Obviously,
chances?
I
Or do
would
you-
never lie. That's the answer.
Obviously,
That's good, though. That's really
the
good.
answer.
I would never.
I would
Yeah.
never lie.
I'd
okay?
rather hear the truth. I don't care how bad it hurts me.
And
Tell
some
me.
people can. Some people can deal with that. Some people
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, I'd rather.
Hey, listen, I love you, but your sister's also hot. Like that's
That
some people
is
don't want to hear the
evil.
truth. They don't want to hear the truth.
Anything that is said, you know? Like there's
Gross.
some things that are
Thank
better
you.
off
So
than
she just-
like,
she
my-
just
I
proved-
know my sister's
She
hot. You don't
proved
have
my
to tell me
point.
that.
She proved my point for me.
Yeah,
You want to do the next one?
I mean, you could say I love you, but your brother's also a lot
Anybody-
hotter than
Yeah.
So-
Anybody
so-
else-
Unnecessary to say.
unnecessary.
Very unnecessary.
Unnecessary.
Don't
You-
need-
yeah.
no point.
ET phone your friend. You know what I mean? Like,
Pick your battles.
Yeah.
You know?
Click the link in the description below, and I'll send you my high status networking playbook for free so you can start meeting high quality women today.